Moms for Liberty really worked miracles.
We have a crisis in America in public education. This is the future of our kids and our country.
You are joyful warriors.
And we are just getting started. Welcome to the Fire of Liberty show. I'm your host, CEO and co-founder of Moms for Liberty, Tina Deskovich. We bring you moms and dads from the front lines of this culture war. They have been forced to be activists fighting in this war, and we do this because we are fighting for the survival of America. Today, our guest is Yadusha Jones, and we are excited to have her here. She is our Clark County, Nevada chapter chair. For those that don't know, that is Las Vegas.
Yes.
And so welcome, Yadusha.
Thank you.
We are excited to have you here this morning. I can't wait to hear about what it's like to grow up in Las Vegas. I can't imagine what that's like. But first, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, firstly, I'm married. I have 4 children. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. I own a business and I'm an activist for Moms for Liberty. Did not start that way. And yeah, I don't do much. I'm an introvert. I'm very quiet. I try to keep to myself, but when it comes to children and elderly people, you will hear me.
So you're a quiet Moms for Liberty activist? I don't know about that. I think we're going to have to dig into that one a little bit today.
No, when it comes to, like I said, children, you hear me, but outside of that, I'm just a normal person. I'm just me.
It's just you. You're the best kind of warrior there is.
Yeah.
You're stealth. People don't see you coming, Mom.
At all. I'm like that silent warrior. So when it's like, when I come, people remember me.
I love that.
And that's what people remember me about. They're like, where did she come from?
Well, welcome to Florida. We're happy to have you
Yes.
here all the way from Nevada. So 3 hours difference, and then like a 4-hour
Yes.
flight. So quite a big ordeal to get you here.
Yes.
We appreciate you coming out here to share your story with us.
Absolutely.
And it is a great story. So we chatted a little bit the other day on the phone about your story, and I found it very inspirational. So I want to dig in a little bit to what it's like to grow up in Las Vegas. A little bit about your home and your personal life and being a child and what that was like. But I want to know, and we didn't even talk about this yet, and I'm sure the viewers want to know, when you grow up in Las Vegas, are you walking up and down the strip? Are you exposed to all of the things that happen in Las Vegas? Or is that kind of like, oh, I grew up here, and as a child, I went to Disney once, 45 minutes away from Disney World. And one time I went there and I didn't even like it. Sorry, Disney. And so is it that kind of thing, or are you kind of always prowling around over there?
It's literally just like that. When people think of Las Vegas, they think the Strip, and we're like, we don't go to the Strip. Back in those days, we only went to the Strip when we went to Wet n Wild.
Wet and Wild?
Yeah, because we went to Wet n Wild because it was hot all the time, and it was always at the beginning of the Strip. You leave Wet n Wild and you may go to Circus because that's where all the kids went, but you didn't go to the Strip, and there was other things to do. You play with the water hose at home.
Yeah.
It was just not that thing.
It's interesting because we had Wet n Wild. I don't think it's open anymore in
No.
Orlando, but we had a Wet n Wild here in Orlando too. And I did go to Wet n Wild many, many times, even especially as a teen. We would drive over in cars full, but Disney, not so much. So.
Yeah, we people are so excited about Las Vegas because the Strip, and as a native, as a local, we just like, I have been on the Strip maybe 3 times in the last 5 years, outside of actually going for work. I just don't go.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I've been there once and wasn't that impressed with the Strip, to be honest. There was some really disgusting behaviors going on down there that I didn't really care to be part of. Anyway, we digress. Let's get into you a little bit and what it was like, what your childhood was like growing up there, your background, because I think it really has influenced and impacted your why and the work that you're doing now and the type of mother you are and the type of leader that you are. So I think it's important to talk about.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, firstly, it's 13 of us.
How many?
Yeah.
You can't gloss right over that. I don't know. Actually have one other friend where there was 13 of them. So
Yeah.
I know 2 people.
I'm number 9 of 13, and growing up, we it wasn't all of us all the time because 13, and we were a blended family, and I was easily forgotten because I didn't get in trouble. So when you didn't get in trouble, you forgotten about. And it wasn't very traditional in my family. We didn't have traditional values. So we didn't talk about politics at all. I couldn't even tell you if my parents voted at all. I know my mom didn't vote, and it just wasn't talked about. I didn't know anything about politics up until my senior year in high school when it was a table there and it was like, "Oh, you're black, go ahead and register as a Democrat." So that's what I did. And it was that year of Obama, and they was like, "Okay, well, it, you're 18, you could go ahead and vote for Obama." I'm like, "Okay,
You're young. You
yeah."
are very young. I'm a little
Yeah.
bit jealous of that. So your senior year was Obama, like
It
the
was
Obama's
Obama.
first run when he ran for president.
Yes.
It was kind of an exciting time in America, and I would think as a Black woman and a Black family, I can see how that would be an exciting time to maybe start getting involved in politics too. Let's talk a little bit more about before politics, though. One of 13. I think you had told me, I can't remember the number of schools you attended in Las Vegas alone,
Yeah.
from
Just,
kindergarten to 12th grade. I can't
yeah. It was about 28 schools. We moved
28
around a lot.
schools.
Well, because we didn't have a lot of money, so we moved a lot. Sometimes twice in a year, and with the school zones, you had to move based off of go to different schools based off of where you lived. So sometimes I went to 2 to 3 school, went to a school 2 to 3 times, and by the time I went to graduated high school, I went to 28 schools.
Why did you move so much?
Couldn't afford rent, couldn't afford to stay, and sometimes we'll literally move across the street from where we just got removed from, but it was a different school, and we'll have to switch schools, and it was horrible because we'll go to school and come back and there's a U-Haul, and now it's time to move again, but we have stuff at school. And I remember when I was in the 4th grade, I was so hurt because my brother had bought me a watch, and I left the watch in my locker just so my sisters wouldn't mess with it at home.
Yeah,
And
13 siblings. How many were sisters?
5.
Yeah, there's some wars. I think about my house, but even my friends' houses, like screaming over dresses, pulling and tugging, like stealing each other's clothes. So you didn't want your sisters to touch your watch.
I didn't. It was a brand new watch, and I didn't want my watch to get broken, so I left it in my locker. And then I get home, and we moved that night. And I'm begging my mom to go to the school and get my watch. I never got that watch back. And that happened so many times. So at that point, I was just like, whenever we move, I knew that I never get nothing back. And
I think it would start to take a little piece of you every time.
Does.
It destroys a little part of your heart and your soul each time.
It's just like you have nothing of your own. Nothing belongs to you. And how can you have something of your own if it's always been taken from you against your will? It's pretty hurtful. And that's how it was with your items, your room, your home. My entire childhood was just like that. So it was rough.
Just trying to survive, basically.
Yeah.
Do you think education was a priority for anyone in your life to make sure you got an education?
Oh, no. Education wasn't important at all. It was you went to school just so you could get out the house, because they didn't want you to, number one, mess up the house, and number two, eat up all the food. And I thought it was for education purposes up until the point where I was in the 10th grade. And my grades were relatively good up until I was in the 10th grade, and I just wanted to see because nobody really asked about my grades. So I intentionally failed the 10th grade just to see if anybody would care.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I failed the 10th grade.
You consciously did that, or you feel like maybe you did it just
Oh no, I walked into class, English, math, and you had to go in towards the end of the year, take that 2-hour Scantron, and
oh
yeah.
oh, you're not that young then if you did Scantrons.
Yeah, so I went to class, and
Yeah.
it took me 30 minutes to do this 2-hour test. I didn't even open the booklet, and I just bubbled in everything, and the teachers just looked at me, and it was like, it takes longer than that. I was like, I know. I handed it to them, and I failed with flying colors.
Whose attention do you think you were trying to get at that point?
Anybody's. It wasn't any specific person. I just wanted to see would anybody care.
Did anybody care?
Once I got my report card, I showed my because we have generations of siblings. So I have older siblings, my mom, my dad, and I showed everybody my report card. Nobody said nothing. It was like, "Ooh, your grade's bad."
Of your 13 siblings, did they all graduate? I mean, I would think with that much turmoil in moving around, and did they all graduate high school before you? You're number 9, so did 1 through 8 graduate? Were they setting an example for you?
So one of my brothers graduated, and I had a brother that got his GED. None of my sisters graduated. I was the first girl to graduate high school. One of my sisters attempted to graduate, but she didn't. So I was the first girl to graduate, but I don't take pride in that, but I am grateful that it did set the standard for everybody else behind me to continue on.
So 11, 12, and 13, did
Yeah,
they graduated?
They graduated.
Congratulations.
I'm like, I'm glad that others did graduate, and it was, but going back to that 10th grade year, it was just nobody cared. And so my 11th grade year, which was my second 10th grade year,
So you had to repeat 10th grade.
Yep.
Counselors at school, anybody sit you down and say, hey, grade 1 through 9, you've got pretty decent grades. Why'd you fail 10th grade? Anybody intervene at all?
Nobody, which was very interesting, being that even though I moved a lot of schools, my middle school principal was my high school principal a couple times, the same as that principal. But I did go to my counselor, and I did tell her I wanted to graduate. So she told me that if I would do everything that she told me to do, that she'll help me graduate.
So something in you at that point said, nobody else gives a darn if I failed 10th grade. Nobody's going to care if I graduate high school. I wonder what it was in you, and maybe you know, maybe you don't know, that said, I want to graduate, because you could have become a high school dropout pretty easily at that point, I would think.
It was that summer. I was just sitting there one day on a couch, and I was like, if nobody's going to care about me, at least I could care about me.
Good for you.
And so when I started back school, I started at one school, and I actually had to switch schools a month later. And I talked to the counselor, and she started to help me. She doubled up my classes for that second year of 10th grade. And by the time I made it to the supposedly 12th grade, I was right on track. I was actually ahead. So my 12th grade year, I was so far ahead to where I only had 4 classes. And one of those 4 classes, I actually had a job. So it helped cover my elective classes, and I was able to graduate on time.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
no small task with 24 schools. I can't imagine how many homes. And all the other turmoil that we probably can't get into, and maybe things you don't even want to share in those years. To overcome all that and be a graduate, first girl in your family, congratulations.
Well, thank you. I just wanted more, and I wanted to go to college, and I wanted to do fashion designing.
Why did you want to go to college? I also come from a pretty, I think, rough background in some of these areas, and my mother didn't go to college, but I remember from a very young age her saying things like, "Education, you must get an education." Although a lot of the actions didn't show in our home that it was important,
Right.
the words were being said, and it resonated with me. And so I almost became a high school dropout myself in high school a few times. I remember the dean saying, "We don't want your type in our school," to me.
Oh,
You have a
wow.
choice. Yeah, she caught me, kids, plug your ears. She caught me smoking in the bathroom for the multitude of times. And she just said, "We don't want your type here. You can drop out and get your GED pretty easily, or you can go to the adult education facility." And long story short, I too inside had to figure out, like, what do I really want?
Right.
What do I want for me? Because the world isn't helping at this point. And so something clicked in you, or something was just in you that said, "I want to go to college."
Yeah, I was just determined. I'm like, I'm that type of person. I just can't take no for an answer. If I want to do something, I'm gonna go after it. And if it doesn't work out, at least I tried.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. I am big on research, and if somebody tell me something, I'm gonna look it up. And it may take me a minute, and that was the one thing, and that's where it got me to the rally.
The rally. Where
Yeah.
we okay? So you graduate high school. We'll fast forward here. You are 18. You register as a Democrat. You're excited about Obama, first
Yeah.
Black president. They registered you as a Democrat, or you registered as a Democrat because of, I guess that's what everybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what everybody did. And so, and you go to what you say, a rally.
So at this point, I have a family and everything. I have children. I took my children to the Obama rally and everything.
Oh, so you've graduated, you're married, you have
Yeah.
a couple kids.
I have 3 kids at this time, and I'm pregnant with my 4th child.
Okay.
And it was a friend that said she had tickets to the Obama rally, and she invited me to go. So I'm like, okay,
Were you
I'll
excited?
go.
Or
Yeah,
you just say, "Oh, this sounds like something
I was
interesting"?
like, I'm excited to go because I want to know. I want to hear from the horse's mouth because, the news don't give everything. So,
Did you, excuse me, did you know at that point the news doesn't give everything? Because most Americans don't know that.
I know the news because it's always clips and bits, but you don't know which news don't give everything. So I wanted to go. I wanted to see for myself. So I get there thinking that I'm about to get good information. I'm about to hear it all. I'm like,
Hope and change.
I'm like, he gives good dialogue, and I'm listening to him. And I was so heartbroken. He was the most racist man I've ever heard in my life.
You heard that at a rally? Because it seems like back then, especially early on at his rallies, it was very much about hope and change and inspiration and inspiring. We have a lot of our chapter leaders that say they voted for Obama that first time around.
Yeah, it was about hope and change, and so this rally was predominantly in the Black community. It was at a high school, and he was talking to a lot of Black constituents, and the problem was that he was like how he recently talked to all those Black men, and he was talking about how ashamed he was of them because they wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris. That's how he talked at that rally. He diminished people, and he was encouraging them to do things that was outside of their character. He was it was just really cringe, and I felt uncomfortable.
Interesting.
And it was very divisive. And coming from a background of a divisive family, different cultures, it bothered me. So I'm walking out the rally and I'm listening to people talk about how they hate white people, how they wanted to kill white people, how it was Black people time, it's time to lynch. It was just
These were just people that were attending the rally. Was it a large
People
crowd?
attending
Like,
the
were there
rally.
people? Question was it a one-off, a random person? Every event has a random crazy person, or did you feel like this was consensus? It was happening through several
No, it was
conversations.
just it was people inside coming out, and then it was people outside of the gate while I was putting in the kids in the car. It was people walking through, getting in their car. I'm just listening to the conversations, and it was just really nasty conversations, and they're laughing and having conversations with their friends like, yeah, and it wasn't good for me.
And
And
you identified that. I mean, you have kids and you're married, but you're still relatively young. You're new to the political scene, but you identify the spirit that you're feeling
I
is
can't allow my kids around that.
it's about your kids.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have kids there, maybe it wouldn't have impacted you as much. I think once you have kids, everything, your TV shows you have on in the house, you're like, mute that, right? You hear a bad word come out where before it just would have been one ear and out the other. So you have kids and you're thinking, I don't want my kids growing up hearing this.
I honestly think I would never paid attention as much if my kids wouldn't have been there. So I immediately switched to an independent.
Hold on. You keep dropping these like casual bombs. So you're a Democrat, you go to an Obama rally, his first run for president. This crazy talk is happening at the rally and you leave there. You get in the car with your husband and kids?
No, this was just me and the kids.
Just you and the kids. Okay. Is he a Democrat at this time?
My husband?
Yeah. At this time.
So, no, so at this time, my husband, he was a Democrat too. So
do you call him up? Did they have cell phones back then?
So that's a whole nother story.
Okay, we won't get into all that.
So it was just like I wanted to be part of something that was going to affect the community as a whole. I felt that I wanted to fix what I was a part of because I always voted, and I always voted with what I was told because I was young. So I did what I was told. And I didn't do as much research, but I did go off of what I was told.
So you leave the rally though next day, or what you call the supervisor of elections. I don't know what they call them there in Nevada, but you go down and you change your voter registration to independent.
Yes.
But did you ever consider at that point, I'm going to go be a Republican, or was that out of the question?
Oh,
you didn't know what to do. I don't belong here. I don't know where I belong. So independent sounds like a good title.
You can't register as a Republican as a Black person. That's a sin.
It's a sin.
Yeah.
According to who?
The Black community. Like that. They're like, no, they're going to lynch you if you're a Black Republican. And I never understood why. That's just what's been put out there. So, but having that conversation with my husband, and we would always have these back and forths about our values and about what we read in the Bible, the scriptures, and everything that's in the Bible ties to conservative values, what we believed in. And we're like, everything that we believe in is conservative. So we switched to the Republican Party. And we're like, my whole mindset was, if I'm going to be a Republican and I'm going to walk in faith with the Lord, we need to be that representation, number one, and we have to also show that for the kids. And because we had that mishap early on and showed the kids that, we have to show them better now. So
it's really all about your kids. All of these political maneuverings, decisions, activities are about your children.
Yes.
Which that tracks with Moms for Liberty, I would say. But we haven't even got to that point yet. We're going to take a break for a minute here and talk about Moms for Liberty Joyful Warrior National Summit. This will be year number 4 for us for our national summit. Have you attended a national summit
last year?
How did you like it?
It was amazing.
Yeah, national summits are fantastic. It is the highlight of the year for Moms for Liberty. This year, we're in Orlando, Florida, October 16th through the 18th. You already told me it's your anniversary. You're trying to convince your husband that this is how he should spend your anniversary. Have him give me a call. I'll put in a good word. We're going to break for 1 minute, tell you a little bit about the National Summit. We hope you'll join us. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Yadusha about her activism and her impact, not only in Clark County, Nevada, but I think statewide on legislation and some other things. So stay with us just for 1 more minute.
Elena, what state are you from?
New York.
Hawaii.
I'm from Texas. Washington. I have my kids actually with me to do the march.
Wherever I go, odds are there is a Moms for Liberty group or a whole tribe in the room sounding off loud and proud.
And you could see the passion here because it's about supporting kids.
Pledge to each other that we will live like men and women who are determined to remain free.
I'm for parental rights all the way.
Have a bigger platform.
Welcome back to the Fire of Liberty Show. I'm Tina Deskovich, CEO and co-founder of Moms for Liberty. I'm your host for the Fire of Liberty Show. We bring you moms and dads from the front line of the culture war. We are fighting for the survival of America. Today, we have Yadusha Jones from Clark County, Nevada. That is Las Vegas. She is sharing her very inspiring story of coming from, a turbulent childhood, I would say. A lot of turmoil and probably trauma in your childhood to being an activist who is making change for children across her county and honestly the whole state of Nevada and impacting the future of America nationally. Sometimes our chapter chairs don't realize what an impact they're having as a whole, and just so grateful for all that you're doing. Yadusha, you said you're a introvert. And so I know it's so much harder for introverts to step up and do the work that needs to be done. And so we're going to pick back up. Before the break, she was talking about registering as a Democrat out of high school, attending an Obama rally with her children. What she heard at the Obama rally, wasn't impressed, left and registered as an independent. Yeah. And now we're going to talk a little bit about, you decided conservative values were where you and your husband already stood. But that your politics weren't reflecting your values that right. you held dear and that you were raising your family with. And so what types of decisions did you start making once the light bulb went off that, oh my gosh, we're conservatives. What do we know? What do we do now?
So I registered us for a Trump rally.
You registered? So you get an email, one of those spam mails that's like, Trump is coming to your neighborhood.
Yep, that's literally what it was.
Okay.
I received a text message saying, hey, Trump is going to be in Las Vegas. And I was like, hey, what you doing on? And I was like, so I'm going to register us for this rally. And
you and your husband?
Yep.
And did you bring your kids to this one?
No.
Okay.
We didn't know what to expect.
You learned your lesson last time. Did you have any fear?
Yes. Because we're at this point, we're still going off of what we see on the news, but at the same token, we're not believing everything we see on the news. And we had to still do our research. So me being me, I'm always putting myself in harm's way. So I just tag along my husband because he's my bodyguard.
It's so sweet.
So we got up really early and we went to the Trump office and we met some awesome people. That's actually where I met my best friend. Yeah. And then we went to the Trump rally and met super awesome people.
So it's the Trump campaign office, the headquarters.
Yes.
So you look that up, you go down there. Were you received well when you were ready?
Yeah.
Were you scared to walk in? Did you not know how you were going to be received? Did you not care? Did you not think about it?
I really didn't think about it once we got there. I was just like, this is so cool. I was more nervous for the rally than the office because the office, it was more or less of business. I'm more comfortable in a business setting.
Yeah, a rally, you're going to see all those hate-filled, horrible people that you hear about at Trump rallies,
Right. It's
like
supposed to
shouting you
be
down, throwing you out, calling you racist names. Like this. You're like, this. Am I
right.
going to experience? Those are the things going through your mind.
And I get so we get to the rally, and everybody was super sweet, super nice, and it was very organized. And there was a couple of news outlets there uh, that I'm listening to talk, and they were literally lying right before my eyes. And and I'm listening to them, and I'm like, you're so lying. And I'm just in awe, like, so that's how it works. And I was like, we got to do more. And we start going out. We start going to the offices, all the Trump offices.
Let's go back to the rally for a second, just kind of wrap it up. Your overall experience feeling leaving the rally, leaving your first Trump rally after being at an Obama rally.
Well, firstly, I met my best friend there, so that was a good sign there.
Yeah.
And they were very nice and welcoming. It was this one guy. He insisted on taking a picture with me because we both had the same scarf on, which was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
He had one from 2016. I had the 2020 scarf on, and he actually used to golf with Trump. So,
So you felt good about that, and the things you were hearing Trump say, how did they resonated with you?
yeah. So, firstly, he prayed, and that was really big for us. And he was talking about what was going on in Las Vegas. He didn't isolate it to white people like Obama isolated it to Black people. He isolated it to the community, and
The
that's
whole
what
community.
mattered. So,
it spoke to you.
yeah.
Okay. So do you go register as a Republican now, or do
We
you
were
s-
already registered as a
Oh,
Republican
at that
by
point.
then.
Okay. You already became a registered Republican. At some point, do you introduce your children to your new political activities? Because the one thing I've
Yes.
noticed about you as a chapter chair is you've included your children
Oh,
in
yes.
everything you do. Every time I see a picture, every time you're at an event, I see your kids right there with you. And I just think that's fantastic. So at what point do you start introducing your children to your new political views in life?
So, when I'm teaching my kids, I'm showing them, and I want them to. So I know a lot of people say they homeschool their kids. I unschool my kids.
You what, your kids?
Unschool.
UN schooled?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I'm doing things, they're with me.
Do you would other people call this homeschooling? I don't know what unschooling is, so you're gonna have to teach me a little bit here.
Unschooling, when I'm out tabling, they're with me. It's
Okay.
not because they're just sitting there. They're actually engaged. They're learning how to publicly speak. They're learning how to write papers because I'm asking them at the end of the day, what did you learn? And they're talking about it. So, for example, we did a tabling at a homeschool convention, and my two oldest,
Which are how old?
15 and
You
13.
bring them with you to table for Moms for Liberty at a
Yes.
homeschooling convention.
So they don't read the books, but they do advocate for Moms for Liberty because they know what it represents. And they have their Moms for Liberty shirts. You'll see them in the pictures because in Clark County, we created a Teen Liberty program. So it actually allows the parents to work with their teens to get them more involved. A lot of people talk about how their teens are always on social media, are always in the games, or doing something that they're not really engaged into. Get them involved.
Why is it important to you to have your children involved in this work that you're doing?
Because I'm doing it for them, and if I'm doing it for them, I want them to see why I'm doing it. So I show them, and when I walk away from it, they can pick it up. If they want to continue it on, they can. They have a voice just as strong as mine, and I want them to be confident in that voice.
But why? Why is it important to you? And I'm asking because I think it has to do with
It has everything to do with it.
with how how you were raised.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to try to convince them that their voice is meaningless or that their voice is less valuable just because how they look. And that's what they're pushing down these days. Like there's actually librarians out in Clark County that are literally telling young children that their whiteness is superior than them because they're Black.
Say that again. I don't
They're
understand.
so there's liberal librarians that are telling young children that their whiteness is superior than them because they're Black kids.
There's librarians in Nevada telling your children,
Telling all children, all Black children,
Black children
that their whiteness is superior than them because they're Black.
I still don't understand. I don't know. I'm not understanding that the white librarians are, when you say the whiteness,
they say that their whiteness is superior because they're white and their Blackness is less valuable.
That's interesting because I don't think that's what's happening nationally right now. When you look at
critical
race theory, for example, they're teaching that.
I don't know if it's being taught, but this is what specifically in Clark County, this is what they're saying. They posted on social media.
How does that, what are they posting? What does that look like? What books are pointing to that? I mean, maybe we're talking about the same thing. I mean, the critical race theory in general teaches Black children that they're victims and that if you're white, you're the oppressor. But I haven't heard, especially white liberals, say they're superior. They're in this mode that, white people are oppressors. And so they're bad because of that reason. But is this something different, or are you referring to the same?
It's pretty much the same.
Okay.
And any holiday that is geared around the Black community, they make a post saying how superior their whiteness is, and they're going to protect Black people and save them.
So that's how they're saying they're superior. Okay. I wasn't understanding the connection because white liberal women in general right now are not walking around saying, I'm superior, I'm superior. They're conveying that they're superior because they need to help Black people because they can't speak up for themselves. They can't stand for themselves. They are the victim. And so I'm here to save you.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting at.
And I don't want my kids to think that they need to be saved or they need to wait for someone to save them. You're just as equal as any living person. And for somebody to actually, and I get this all the time, and anywhere I go, I get it at least 3 times a week. Somebody saying how that they're going to help me, save me, protect me.
Okay. Who tells you that?
Just random people.
No, strangers?
Yeah.
I'm going to help you?
Yeah.
I'm going to save you?
Yep.
From what?
Anything. Like we could be at the grocery store and we're standing in line and they're like, do you need help paying for that?
Oh,
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Can you afford that?
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Or take the kids shopping. Do you need help? Yeah. People do it randomly.
What do you say back?
Like, why do you think I need help? Well, me and my husband, we just try to help people in need. Why do you think we're in need?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The audacity of people, right?
Well, good for you for just saying, you're so kind. You're like, well, why do you think we need help?
And
don't you get angry?
I have to say it like that because my kids are standing right there. And the reason people, they do it often, especially when I'm with my kids. And I try to kill them with kindness because
maybe you should offer to pay for their stuff.
They like to record. People like to record, and they like to put people in bad lighting and show it on social media. Yeah, if you tell them off
and you're rude and you're nasty back. Like, I was just trying to help this poor Black woman, and here she's screaming at me now. Oh my gosh, you are so smart. You are a smart woman.
And
oh my goodness,
it's just, I want my children to know that you do have a voice. You don't have to be angry. You don't think before you speak. Be respectful and know that your voice is meaningful. So use it. And Like when we were at that convention, my daughters, they went around, they spoke with all the tables. They introduced Moms for Liberty, and they got 4 organizations to work with Moms for Liberty.
Oh my goodness. We're going to have to start tipping them out or,
Yeah.
paying them for
They are great. And they got a couple of other teams that want to be involved in Moms for Liberty. And it's another good way to recruit parents, because these teens, they want to be involved. They want to find something to do. They want to advocate for their rights, because in a lot of these schools, the kids' voice matters more than the parents, which is mind-boggling to me, being that you have to be 18 or older to do many things.
There are school boards out there now that put students on the school board, and the general consensus is, oh, that's so great. The student voice is so important. And some of these districts have billion-dollar budgets. I mean, you're going to put a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, even no life experience, never had a job, helping vote and manage on a billion-dollar budget on policies that impact 100,000 students. Like, it's a nice idea. Like, maybe you want to sit them there for some of the meetings and teach them and mentor them, but the student voice.
Right. Volunteering and mentorship is one thing, but giving them the voice over millions of dollars is another.
Letting them run the show and make decisions about their
Yeah.
future that they are not prepared to make. That's why you have parents. That's why you have,
Exactly.
oh, good grief. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love what you're doing with the kids there in Las Vegas and starting a teen sub program almost that's aligned with Moms for Liberty and what you're doing with your children. But my overarching question is, we're listening to your journey a bit. Why, of all the paths you could have taken, of all the organizations you could be leading right now with your leadership skills you've built over your life, why are you a chapter chair of Moms for Liberty?
Well, with Moms for Liberty, they care about parents. And right now, it seems like every time you look at the news, they don't care about parents. They care about taking away parental rights as much as possible. They want to take your children away from you, and they want to say that your voice does not matter. And my voice matters more than my child. I created this life. God gave me the opportunity to create a life, and I'm the mother. My husband is the father. We were blessed enough to have children to advocate for our child. And the audacity of you to think that you have a stronger voice than me, to think that you advocate for my child. I just can't let that happen.
Yeah, we have the sacred responsibility and the fundamental right to raise our children.
Yes. And in Clark County, which is really odd, is that once you enroll your child in school, you're giving your rights to the school now, which is crazy.
What do you mean with that?
So a lot of people don't understand how much you diminish your parental rights as your child gets older.
Are your children in public school? Because you had talked about unschooling. I'm not sure if that was...
They were. Well, we've done private school, public school, charter school, homeschool, and now we're unschooling.
Okay, so you're all day long you're unschooling. You're getting the indoctrination. It sounds to me like, and I don't know what unschooling is yet. I'm not quite clear on that, but it sounds like you're getting the indoctrination out of them and hopefully pouring into them true education, the ability to think for themselves, hopefully with culture and math, reading, science, literature, cursive writing of all things. I hope they're learning cursive writing.
That is a big thing for me, cursive writing, because the Constitution. And they don't teach the
founding
Constitution.
Documents. I'm going to break from your story for 1 minute, because this is one of the stories that got me involved with all of this. My 5th grade son, I wrote him a letter on the counter, and I said, "What'd you think about the letter?" or whatever. I wrote the note this morning, and he said, "I can't read it." And at this point, and he's 24 now. A lot has happened since then. And what do you mean you can't read it? I can't read cursive. What do you mean you can't read cursive? How do I not know this as a mother?
Yeah.
And that unfolded, that Common Core had just been put in place. It was pulled out of the curriculum 2 years prior in third grade, when he really would have started learning cursive. I remember him starting to learn in second grade the shapes of some of the letters. But third grade probably would have been the time where he really started. Third, fourth, fifth. By the fifth, sixth grade, you should be able to read cursive and write it perfectly.
Right.
And where was I? What was happening? So of course I marched down to the school. How could my kid not be learning cursive? Well, we don't teach it anymore. What do you mean you don't teach it anymore? They took it out of the standards. Why? And nice enough lady, but she said, well, we're moving to computers. Everything's typed. My passion project on the side is family genealogy. And that is all in cursive. Immigration records, census records, it's all cursive. And I remember looking at her and her looking dumbfounded at me. And I was like, how is he going to read our family genealogy? And I know she was like, what is wrong with you? And then the founding documents, and you put your tin hat on. Maybe it's a nefarious plan, but if you have a whole generation from now forward that can't read history, they can do whatever they want to history.
Exactly. And I'm going to take it a step further. So something just as basic as signing your name. So I'm a notary, and it amazes me at how many young adults do not know how to sign their name.
Oh my goodness.
And it is terrifying.
They have no signature.
Oh
my gosh. Put your tin hat back on, because think about it. This whole ideology with blending sexes, no individual person, you have no individual rights, you have collective rights. We're also going to take away your ability to have your own personal signature. It's either all tin hat wearing in the right direction, or it's all spontaneous stuff that's happened that is all part of the breakdown.
Cough, cough, auto pen.
What? Oh, the auto pen. Wait, we're not going to get into the auto pen right now. We have a lot of things we still want to cover, and we're running low on time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it all kind of comes together. And so you're teaching your children cursive. I hope. Yes, they can. And my children now, my 24-year-old can write and read in cursive. We corrected that right away. But just remarkable. And so I do want to say to parents out there right now, Florida has it back in their standards here in Florida, but there are states across this country that it's still their standards. Your children are not learning cursive. Wake up and smell the roses. It's not a good thing. You're going to have to fight at your school board and in your state to bring cursive back. And meanwhile, teach your kids cursive so that they can sign their names at least. My goodness. Lowest common denominator. Make sure your kids has a signature.
You want them to buy a house, you need to sign your name.
Auto pen. Auto pen. Okay, let's talk a little bit about just being a chapter chair. What's that like for you? Because you decide to be a Moms for Liberty chapter chair for your kids. You want to take a stand, but my goodness, Yadusha, Moms for Liberty is under attack nonstop all the time. I would say more than most organizations in the country. We've been added to the SPLC hate map. We are called racists. You know that. We're called all of the names. I'm not going to repeat them, but you name it, we've been called it. Why would you pick this organization to be a leader in and stand up when there's other organizations where you could still do good in your community and not get attacked?
Well, because you guys are out there in the trenches and you're actually making waves where it actually matters. You're standing up for everyone, and it's important. And I just think it's interesting that like you guys are being attacked. I'm not.
I bet you are right now on social media while we're speaking. I'm sure there's comments right now that we're going to go back and they're going to attack you.
They're probably attacking me now. But in Clark County, since I became chair, they won't even interview me at all. So like ever since I became chair, when Moms for Liberty came to Clark County, there was always something negative about Moms for Liberty in the news. Hate, book banning, everything. It was just really negative. And it was always a rebuttal on what Moms for Liberty actually stood for. And I looked it all up, and I'm like, Moms for Liberty stands for protecting children. And that's what I liked about it. So I joined as a member. And then when I became chapter chair and I started getting phone calls from the press, and they wanted me to bash people, or they wanted me to respond a certain way. And they got frustrated because they expected me to respond a certain way. They stopped calling. And a couple of them told me that I wasn't a part of the agenda. And
Wasn't part of what agenda?
well, when I speak to them face to face, they said that I wasn't a part of the agenda. I'm
What
too
agenda?
dark.
What agenda?
Well, Moms for Liberty is racist.
You're not a part of the Moms for Liberty agenda?
Yeah.
So you've been a member for a year, you become the chapter chair, and a
Mhm.
reporter tells you you don't belong.
I've been told this by people in Clark County School District. I've been told this by the press. I've been told by many people that.
To me, that's as bad as the lady in the store offering to pay for your stuff, asking if you can afford your things.
Yeah.
Like you're not smart enough, Yadusha, to know what you believe, where you stand, what the people you are not smart enough to know if the people around you are good people or racists. Like,
yeah,
so condescending.
Yeah.
Oh, makes me
Like
so angry.
it's interesting. Like, how am I not a part of the agenda? What agenda are you trying to push?
Yeah.
Because it is not a Moms for Liberty agenda. Moms for Liberty agenda is protecting children. And when I say that, they have nothing else to say. You're not pushing a Moms for Liberty agenda. You're pushing your agenda.
So your school district, do you have a good relationship with your school board?
I speak with some of them. And there's some in particular that needs to be unseated.
Hopefully you're going to work on that. You have elections this year?
Yes, there's 3 in particular that we're working on.
Are you going to endorse candidates this year?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Have you guys had a winning workshop out there yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, Erica, if you're listening, she's our political director. Let's get on. We'll get a winning workshop out there where she works to train anyone that either wants to run for school board or people that want to help campaign or support the school board candidate.
Awesome.
It's excellent training. We have a free workbook on our website, which is one of a kind if you want to run for school board. All the tools and resources you need at momsforliberty.org. We hope you'll take advantage of those. We'll get Erica out there. We'll hold a training in Clark County.
We definitely are going to take advantage of that because we want to make sure we have the best of the best to protect our children.
Yeah, and we have a PAC too that can help campaign a little bit for these candidates once your chapter decides to endorse them or not. So I look forward to getting involved in that too. That's exciting. So let's just talk a little bit now about a couple more things. One, wins. Do you have any wins there in Clark County or in Nevada as a whole? Anything you fought and stopped or something you've gotten across the finish line?
So recently, we just finished up legislation. And one of the big things that we tackled was Assembly Bill 416. Assembly Bill 416.
So for those that are listening, some states have a House and Senate, and some people have an Assembly and a Senate.
Yes, and we have Assembly and Senate.
So it's like their house if you're in another state. We have listeners all across the country, and
right.
People don't understand somehow the lingo and some of these things. So it's a House bill.
Yes, and this bill was trying to stop parents from advocating to remove for speaking up against the pornographic books in the schools. They wanted us to talk to a judge first to have the books removed, and if the judge saw the book fit to
a judge like down at the county court judge.
Yes.
So in most school districts, not most, but like in my school district, for example, if a book comes up that seems extremely inappropriate, there's a policy in place where first you take it to the school. The school may look at it and go, "Oh my gosh, we have no idea how this book got in here. Let's just get this book aside." Then you can petition, and there's boards put together where there a whole committee put together, or you have a principal and a teacher and a parent and a student, and everybody reviews the book. There's a whole process, and then it elevates to the school district, and there's a whole process for these books being reviewed. You're telling me this is a state law? Do I have this right? A state law that if you, mom, see a book that's totally insane and shouldn't be in schools, you have to go down to the county judge.
You have to pay to go to a judge.
Would
And
like
the
probably
judge,
get an attorney, or you go
Yep.
stand there by yourself.
and the judge will tell you if they feel that the book was inappropriate. And if you disagree with the judge and you still advocate against this book, and now they're going to give you a Class E felony.
What do you mean advocate? So you speak to the paper, you get on the news, you put it out on
At
social
any
media.
point, you still disagreeing, you're saying, no, this book is just bad. At any point.
That is a terrible First Amendment violation. Like that, there's no way that law would
4 years in prison.
Are you serious?
Yes, 4 years in prison. And this is what they were pushing. It passed Assembly and it passed Senate.
Hold up.
Yes.
So I think, I'm not an attorney, but I think anybody with half a brain who's read just the First Amendment of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, they would understand that that is a terrible First Amendment violation. Yet it passes the majority of your assembly, which is your house.
Yes.
These are elected representatives that put their right arm up and swore to uphold the Constitution. And then it passes your Senate also?
Yes. And we fought against this bill. And if you look at the numbers, so many people disagree with this bill and they still kept passing it through. They were not listening to the constituents.
Is your assembly and your Senate Democrat or Republican controlled?
Both is majority Democrat.
Okay.
And they were not listening to us at all. So thank goodness for the governor.
You said the news hasn't covered you.
No, not at all.
Since you've become chair, because you're not their narrative, basically. Like they can't put your face on the news as representing Moms for Liberty because it would destroy everything that they. So you're speaking out against a bill that's now passed the House and Senate. Did you get any news coverage on that at all?
No, we did a press conference on this bill. They didn't say anything about. I went to legislation and I spoke on this bill. It was many people that spoke on this bill. The news talked about this bill. Not only did they talk about it, they talked about everybody that spoke on this bill. Even the people that sat next to me, they talked about the bill.
But not you.
They did not talk about me.
Oh, shame on you, media in Las Vegas.
Yeah. They talked about the persons that sat next to me.
God.
And when I spoke, I said that I was with Moms for Liberty. They did not speak about me nor Moms for Liberty. And the title for every news outlet about this bill was book banning.
Of course. Of course. Shame on you. I'm going to say it again. Shame on you, media in Las Vegas. Shame on them.
But yep.
So so then it goes to the governor, Democrat, Republican? Republican governor. And
he vetoed the bill.
He vetoed the bill.
Yeah.
So you must not have super majorities do you have a super majority in Democrats in the Assembly and the Senate? Because they could probably override, I'm guessing.
No, we do not have super majority.
Thank goodness. Although I am confident that would have been struck down in court eventually. There's no way. That is.
And that was one of the things that I kept on posting about and sharing with our newsletter, that this was stripping our First Amendment rights. You're telling parents that your voice don't matter. The child voice doesn't matter. These children voice, you're even telling the trustees that their voice no longer matters.
Elected representatives over the school districts. Yeah.
Because they're even saying this about the trustees.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling. You're stripping everybody's voice to say, we're going to push all this porn to your children and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, you speak up, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Communism at its finest.
Yes.
Okay, let's wrap up here a little bit about Yadusha as a leader. Like advice to parents. This would be like the section of, you've had a journey. You've had quite a journey, quite an experience. You're a remarkable woman, mom of 4.
Thank you.
Obama supporter, Trump supporter, like all the things. You're leading a chapter of an organization now of Moms for Liberty, and you're doing a remarkable job. It's been growing since you've been at the helm, strengthening the chapter, being successful and productive, even though the media is ignoring you, growing new programs with the youth. So I would say your leadership skills are top notch. So let's talk a little bit about that. Do you have any advice for parents out there? Let's start with this question, that feel like their voice doesn't matter.
Everybody's voice matters, even if you're an introvert. So, like I was telling you earlier, I am an introvert. This is not ideal for me. But I have children and they have friends. And some parents are busy. Whether you work a 9 to 5, whether you work 3 jobs, your voice matters. So whether you're just sending an email to Moms for Liberty, you're coming to one meeting a year, make your voice heard. If you don't know what's going on, a simple question. We are here for you. Everybody voice matters, and there's no reason why every parent shouldn't know what's going on in their child's school. And it's scary to me when the school is telling parents that their voice don't matter and sweeping things under the rug. Our school district had over 100 lawsuits last year. That's disgusting. Make your voice heard. Join Moms for Liberty. We will help you. We will lead you in the right direction, no matter whether you want to be a member, a silent member, or you want to stand right next to me and point your finger at the trustee.
Let's talk about race for a second. I mean, we've done that a bunch in this already, but I mean, let's just say this. Do you think the fellow members that you've been working with for the past year in Moms for Liberty, either in your chapter or nationally, are racists?
No. It kills me that they push this agenda that Moms for Liberty is racist. All Black people are not monolithic. Everybody has their own individual opinion, and the audacity of people to say that we all align in one agenda. That was the huge issue with Harris. They put her in this category that she was Black, and she's not. But I'm like, even if she was, like, I'm not voting for you just because how you look. I'm like, I need to know what you stand for. And people need to understand to do research. Do your research before you vote for somebody. Do your research before you put your hat in the ring to put your child in a certain predicament. And there's a lot of things going on that need to be exposed. Regulation 6150 in Clark County School District needs to be removed because they are hiding so much in our school district, and we don't know what's going on with our education system.
What is Regulation 6150?
It is sealing our libraries to where the parents do not know the books in the libraries, but we also do not know what our children are being taught. Opening that up allows our parents to see what our children are being taught, but also allow them to see the books that are in the schools. We're the only county in Nevada that has a sealed library.
Unbelievable. What would you say to a Black mom or dad that finds themselves not aligning with their community historically on how they're quote unquote supposed to think or feel about an issue? You know, you talked briefly about how maybe it was a little scary to break away from what was expected of you and to go to the Trump rally and throw on the Trump hat. And so this isn't about President Trump, but this is about, it's about breaking from what is expected from you in your circle, in your community as a Black American, and standing and speaking up for maybe it's one tiny issue that you want to separate from them in, but you're afraid. What kind of advice would you give them?
So a lot of the biggest thing is that most of the Black community agrees with everything that I agree with. The problem is they're going off of what they see and not actually doing the research. They agree with school choice. They agree that they should have a voice for their children. They agree that they have the right to put their kids where they want them to be. That's school choice. They want to. They have the same values. They have conservative values. The problem is that a lot of people look at skin color before they look at the facts. They dictate things off of emotion. Look at the facts before you look at your feelings. Take your feelings away from it. Just look at the facts. Because if you look at the facts, you'll see the same things that you're griping about is right there in front of you. A lot of people say, and this is a big issue in Clark County, they don't want school choice because it'll take away from the Black community. It won't. It'll actually help the Black community. And that's the biggest problem. They're going off of hearsay and not doing the research. Because if you look at the numbers, the Black community is hurting because there's no school choice.
Yeah, the reading rates, I don't know them in Nevada off the top of my head, but for the Black community are lower. Nationally, they're, a third of American fourth graders are reading proficiently, and then the Black statistics are even lower than that. And so the Black community is hurting as far as education goes in America, and we have to do something different and better. What's one word or one statement that you can give them to have the courage to speak out? Let's say you just spoke to them, the light bulb went off. I do agree with her. I do have the same values, but I'm too scared to say anything to my family, to my spouse, to my neighbors, even not, to my friends. How do you find that courage?
Be the better person.
Where do you find your courage?
God. Because tomorrow's not promised to us. And I don't want to question, man, I wish I would have did that. I could have did that, but I don't want to but. I could have saved my child, but I prefer to say I did the best that I could for my child by any means necessary.
I think that's it. That is, everything is about your children. You open this up talking about your childhood. We're closing it out, talking about you're doing it for your children now. You want to give them a better life, better opportunities than you had.
Yeah.
If you could tell yourself one thing now that you could go back and tell yourself something, you're 15 years old, what would you tell yourself now?
To look at the facts.
That seems to be your theme for this whole thing. Look at the facts, leave the emotions behind, and look at the facts.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Look at the facts, as emotions will get you in trouble.
Okay, closing question. What does it mean to be a joyful warrior to you?
A joyful warrior is someone that's willing to take the reins and move forward regardless of what people are saying.
Yeah, I can imagine you've been under a lot of attack over the last several years.
Ooh.
So congratulations for prevailing, for staying joyful, for telling those ladies in the grocery stores and gentlemen that you're doing just fine with your children and doing it in a joyful way. I think you're a good example to them. You're a good example to me, to all of our chapter chairs at Moms for Liberty. So thank you for coming out to Florida and joining us today. And we want to thank all of you for joining us at the Fire of Liberty show. Please follow us on Apple and Spotify. We are on iHeart. We are on X and YouTube and Rumble and Facebook. And so catch the Fire of Liberty in your favorite location. Make sure you follow it. You hit like. If you're on Apple and Spotify, hit the 5 stars, give us a review, and join us next week as we bring moms and dads from the front lines of this culture war right to you to help save America. Thank you.